Hey y'all, welcome back to the Insurance Lounge with me, Tanya.
And me, Christy.
We are here to make insurance a little less boring and a lot more useful for you. All goal is to share with you what we know so that you feel more confident about your insurance so that you can better protect your family, your home, your business, and of course your financial future. So with that said, Christy, what is that hot topic for the week?
Yeah, so today we're really hitting on on all of our goals, Tanya. September is Life Insurance Awareness Month, and we want to talk to people about some practical ways that you can make life insurance work for you to help protect your financial future in the event that, you're left with just one surviving spouse. Most households today, I think, require two incomes. And we want people to think about the fact, I think a lot of people think, oh, I can't afford life insurance. But what we really want people to think about is, could you afford to live without it? If the income of one spouse is gone, how would you afford to continue, day to day and the dreams that you have for this family that you're building?
Absolutely, Christy. And it is a huge concern for us today, right? Especially with the cost of living keep rising. It's harder to manage things financially. Not everybody wants to talk about death, right? Especially when it comes to their family and their children. So it's a little bit not so fun of a topic. Um, but we really want to drive it home because the fact of life is life happens. Uh,
It
and
does.
based on, multiple research and studies, we have found that most average American family have less than $600 in
That is so
emergency savings.
scary.
Yeah, and also I read somewhere that, more than about 50% of American family is only 118 days away from homelessness if something were to happen to them financially. So let's break it down for our audience today, Christy, especially those that have families and have those people that we love, right? And we work hard for our
Right.
goals and dreams.
Yeah.
So what is one way we can use life insurance for?
Yeah, so really, I talk to people about there's really, for most people, there's four main things that life insurance is going to do for you. And the first is income replacement. Like I said, most families today need two incomes in the household. And if one of those is suddenly gone, you want the surviving spouse to be able to continue to make the mortgage payment,
Buy the
do
groceries,
buy the
Christy.
groceries, yes. Keep the kids, in the same house, in the same school with their friends so that they suffer less, emotionally. Obviously, we're going to suffer at the death of a loved one, but to the extent that you can, take care of the bills, you can ease some of that emotional duress. So, yeah, just replace the
Absolutely.
income that's gone suddenly.
Yeah, and especially, during a death of a spouse or a parent that is to like happen unexpectedly or very young, we didn't plan
Mhm.
for that. How do we help families maintain their living standard, right, Christy? Not
Right, right.
even to
You
come
don't
up
want your
on
dreams
it.
to die. You don't want your dreams to die just because, you lost someone that you weren't expecting. We're never expecting to lose people young, but it does happen, like you said.
Absolutely. And we can also use life insurance, as you mentioned, like pay off the mortgage. So paying off the debt or paying down the debts, right, Christy?
Sure. Yeah. It doesn't have to completely alleviate or eliminate your expenses, but if it can just help alleviate some of those expenses to make the financial day to day easier during that grief process, especially, that's so helpful for people. It's such a smart thing to do to plan that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way you want to plan for that, if you want to use life insurance to pay off your debt or pay down your debt, guys, is one, you got to figure out, what kind of debts do you have right now? So like, how much is the mortgage payment every month? How much are the car loans? Do you guys have any credit card debts that, you gotta pay? Because we know that just because death happened, it doesn't mean our credit card debt's
Those
gonna go
expenses
with
don't go
it, right?
away. That's right. Yep.
Absolutely. So you want to figure out, what kind of revolving debts you have, and then also what kind of budget you can afford, right, Christy? Because we don't have to be insurance poor to
Sure.
properly plan for our families.
Right. Right. And speaking of planning for families, so then that leads us to a third way to use life insurance is to plan for the future. Like we said, you don't want those dreams to die. You're building a life together if you're, if you're married and you want maybe to have a family, you want the kids to be able to have higher education or get married and start families of their own, and you want to help contribute to that. So life insurance can play an important role. You take that benefit, you save it, you invest it wisely and help you cover those future expenses as well. Maybe it's for a surviving spouse to be able to retire, somewhat comfortably in the future. Again, because they're not going to have two incomes, throughout their lifespan there.
Exactly. And with the cost of everything today, I'm sure that's going to be extra hard for a single parent to, you know, uh, help their children carry out, your hopes and dreams and then retire comfortably or retire at, a reasonable age, right, Christy?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's
It's
something
not
that
getting any cheaper, to buy groceries and do all the things these days.
it is not. And also, life insurance doesn't have to be about death, right? Because what if you do plan for it and you don't have to use it for these short-term goals that you have. There are different life plans that you can
Sure.
talk to your agent about based on what your goals are, because maybe it's for your own retirement in the future as well. And life
Sure.
insurance is one of those vehicles that can help you there. So if that's something that you want, you definitely want to talk to your agent about that on how you can properly invest that money that you
Absolutely.
set aside for yourself.
And then the final thing, is just kind of the one that nobody wants to think about, right? Um, just,
But
final
it's the
expenses.
reality.
It is
Yeah,
a
it's there.
reality. Final expenses. This also is not inexpensive and it's not getting any less so. So, whether it's burial or cremation or, like you mentioned when we were talking about this earlier, Tanya, we have all kinds of people who maybe want to be flown home for their final resting place. And your family, your surviving family members are going to be faced with that expense if they want to honor your wishes. So definitely, having enough life insurance to put you to rest in whatever way it is, that you want that to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the event, like if that the final expense is the only thing you worry about for your family, that's okay too. There are
That's
life
right.
insurance that is built just for that. If you only
I have
have
a
a
lady
budget
who
for
calls
that,
me every month to make a payment on her burial policy. That's what she
yep,
calls it.
yep, yep, yep.
And she's just so sweet. But yeah, it's there for that as well.
Yeah, and for those of us who are, let's say you're younger and maybe you don't have children of your own, but you are caring for a family member that dependent on you, or your
Mhm.
elderly parents, for example. I will tell you, like, I have a small policy on myself. Like, that's my burial policy because you know what,
Yeah,
Christy, I love my parents and I love my brother, and I would never ever want to put them through that financial burden for
right.
me, especially I'm not around to even help them. Like, I mean, I don't want to leave them with a with an expensive tab like that. So,
Sure.
so that's one way that you can use life insurance for as well.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot about good tips today on how we can manage life insurance, use it for what we want, while keep it within our budget, Christy. So can we do a quick recap for our audience today?
Let's do. So the four main things that life insurance helps you plan for: replacement of your income,
Especially
um,
if you have a growing family, right? You have a lot of
especially. Yeah,
expenses,
right. Right.
especially if eggs are not getting any cheaper today, right?
Yep.
Eggs and milk.
Yep.
We want to make sure that you have something to help them continue their lifestyle if
Yep.
something were to
Just
happen.
daily expenses, monthly expenses. paying down or paying off any debt that you have, mortgage payments, credit cards, car loans, all of those things. Pay
Absolutely.
that down to a more manageable level. The third thing would be planning for future expenses, sending the kids to college, getting them married, helping them start families of their own, paying for funding a retirement for a surviving spouse. These are all things that in the future that life insurance can help you plan for. And then the last thing is just that immediate need of burial expenses, final expenses.
Absolutely. So, if you have someone you love, guys, that you care about, if you've been working really hard to build your life goals, hopes, and dreams, and you want to be able to provide a certain lifestyle for your family or the people that you care about, talk to your agent about life insurance because
Yeah.
there are multiple ways that you can use that and keep it manageable financially for you to make sure your family is taken care of if something were to happen.
Yeah, lots of different types and amounts of coverage that you can use. So just really encourage people to talk to an agent. It may be less expensive than you think it is, but again, how can you afford not to have it if something terrible happens and you're left with just one surviving spouse?
Absolutely. And as always, if you don't have an agent that you can talk to about that, you can call Christy, you can call me. We'll have our info drop below. And with that said, thank you for tuning in. We hope you find it helpful today. And until next time,
Bye-bye.
bye.